I am so excited. It's been a while, and we haven't done anything in 2020. So now this is our first ever episode of Harifa Daily Talk Show, and I present the program called Let's Get to Know You. Let's Get to Know You. It's a program where we invite different people to come and inspire and share their life experiences with other people and also to educate others. We're here to learn, to educate one another. We are not here to criticize or to look down on each other, but to empower one another. So my guest today, she's an amazing young lady who has tasted different type of life and also who is ready to share her life experiences. I'm not going to take much of your time. Let me introduce you to one of the amazing young lady I know. Um, so she's going to be here in the studio. Hi.
Good morning, gorgeous. Well, it's good morning, California. Good evening, world. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. You look amazing, by the way.
Oh my gosh, you always look dazzling. Thank you so much for having me on your platform. I feel so special being your first.
Yes.
This will be you. Oh, you always remember your first.
I am so honored for you to be here. It's been great to have you here. But first, I want you to introduce yourself. Who is Chieza?
Wow, the loaded question. Thank you so much for this platform. Once again, it's an honor to be here. Chieza Mavangira was born in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe in 1979. I'm a single mom. I migrated to the United States of America. I currently live in California with my son Ivano. He goes to college. I am an author, a luxury real estate agent, an entrepreneur, model, actress. I'm always keeping it really, really busy. And I think in a nutshell, that is Chieza Mavangira.
I've been watching you and I follow
you
a lot. Story inspired me, and I want the world to learn from you. I want people to understand that sometimes you can go through some difficult times. It doesn't mean that your life is over. You can still pick yourself up. To see you, it's a great testimony. I want you to share with people a little bit about your life journey.
Okay, thank you so much for the honor. I would have to say the inciting incident, probably the most profound thing when I reflect on my childhood would be when my dad passed away when I was 16. He committed suicide, which is obviously indicative of some mental health issues as well as depression. And so that was like a very abrupt introduction to the adult world. By 19, I was pregnant with my son Ivano. And Zimbabwe as a country was in the grips of poor socioeconomic management by the government. And I realized that if I wanted to have an opportunity to make my dreams come true, I was going to have to jump out of my comfort zone. And so I did that. People always ask me, Chieza, how did you make that decision? And I always say it's like jumping out of a burning building. Zimbabwe being the burning building. And so I jumped out of the burning building, traveled to the United States of America, and I guess, as they say, the rest is history.
Wow. So exciting. And tell me, you being in America for the first time from Zimbabwe, how did you cope? How did you end up being where you are today? Because I know it's not easy. And now,
oh my gosh, it is not easy. It is not easy at all, but it's possible. And I think that's the message, given that your topic today, which I love sincerely, is how to keep your dreams alive. You keep your dreams alive no matter what life circumstances you're in. When I first came to the United States of America, I worked as an au pair in San Francisco, and I didn't let the position of my job define my dreams. So in other words, it doesn't matter, because in life, you're going to have to be in the place you are when you're in that place. But my mom always told me, whether you're sweeping floors or you're child minding or you're the CEO of a company, do it with the same quality of passion, integrity, and love, because you cultivate discipline. If you can handle small things well, God blesses you with bigger things. And so no matter what environment I was in, I stayed humble. I stayed open to learning, but I didn't let my station define me. I still had my dreams and I do the job at the point I'm in. I work really hard, but I don't give up on my dreams. So I use everything as a stepping stone to get to where I want to go.
Wow. I remember there was a time you were going through challenges and the world didn't understand it. Everybody thought, oh, she's crazy. What is going on? Going hard on Facebook. Would you like to share what really happened that time?
Yeah, thank you for asking me that question. And thank you for not running away from me when I was going through it. As a writer, one of the things I had to do was to find my voice. And when I say voice, I mean your emotional, spiritual, intellectual voice. You really have to be strong in the message that you're going to communicate. And so when I wrote my autobiography, Born Without Borders, I realized that I'm sharing a lot of personal information. It wasn't easy. I mean, some pages I would write and go, should I really share this? But I realized if I wasn't honest, the message would not be impactful and it wouldn't be life changing. And so when I came onto my social media platform, I wanted to be on my platform with the same authenticity. I think oftentimes women and men as well suffer from depression, mental health issues in the privacy of their home, in the darkness. There's such a taboo, especially in our African community, surrounding it. And so I say, Cheza, you're going to have to be brave. Here you're about to bare your soul in your book and share yourself with the world. I want you to have an open, transparent process. And so that's what it was. It included depression. It included alcoholism, that I'm happy to say I have not had a drink for the past 3 months sober. And I just wanted to connect with the people who were going through the same experiences. And I also wanted to publicly challenge God and say, okay, God, I'm trusting you with my faith, my integrity, my honesty, and my hard work. Either you're going to humiliate me in front of the world, or you're going to use this as a learning tool and an opportunity for me to be inspirational to people who share my pain and experience.
Yeah. I know it's very hard for people to come out to say, hey, I'm depressed. I'm going through a lot, or I'm going through suicide. It's very difficult. And how did you communicate with people when you're going through that? Because there's so many people that are going through a lot. Like some of them, they're depressed, but they don't want to admit, or they don't want to share with other people. And some, they are actually battling with committing suicide. Do you understand? So they don't even
Yeah.
do. So how did you deal with that?
Thank you for asking me that question. I think, especially since my own father committed suicide, one thing I remember as a young girl is thinking, why didn't he say something?
Mm,
Why didn't he communicate to his best friend, my mother? And so when he passed away, that was the biggest question. Why did he remain silent? But as
mm,
I became an adult, I understood the social pressure to look good and feel good all the time, and that in the real world as an adult, it's not easy to be open with your emotions. And so I wanted to experiment and do the opposite.
mm,
And I found my strength in communicating and sharing, because oftentimes when I would get off my platform, my inbox would be full of women saying, I share that experience. One lady's like, I was about to commit suicide until I listened to you. And furthermore, giving voice to my pain gave it a reason,
mhm.
because I said, okay, I can't run away from this experience, but if I
Absolutely.
give it a face and I give it a voice, maybe I can give it a purpose. And once I took a little bit of that power back, I was not in isolation.
Oh,
And
what
the moment
happened?
that you shed light on depression, you take power away from it. Because now I'm coming off my life.
I think it's just connection. She'll be right back. And are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Sometimes the
Okay.
connection. Maybe
It's
internet
okay. I will bear
connection.
with
I'm sorry
you.
about that. And we're here talking to Chieza, and she has an amazing story which will inspire a lot of people. It's been a great journey for her to be able to share, to be able to inspire other people with it. I'm sorry for now. I think it's the internet. She'll be right back. Um, Hello, can you hear me now?
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Something happened. I don't know what happened, but we kind of lose communication. And tell me, we were talking about something before the internet. I don't know what happened.
Yes.
And
No,
what
that's
what
okay. I can recap.
what
Um,
actually inspires you as a woman?
in terms of my career or in terms of my dreams,
Everything.
I think
What inspires?
my inspiration was to be victorious. I
Mhm.
already came from a very difficult situation. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is it's very empowering to experience a lot of difficulties because you only have two options. You're either going to lay down and die or you're going to move forward. So I decided I might as well move forward. And the more steps I took forward, the more I felt energized to not give up or quit along the way. And so my inspiration was definitely a desire to be successful, to honor the integrity of my father's memory, to make sense of his suicide. He had so many wonderful characters, but you only remember somebody on this poor point. And so I wanted to kind of reclaim and reinvent his legacy. My mom is an amazing, strong, God fearing woman. She has always been a wonderful source of inspiration. And for me personally, I get inspired from 1,000 different people because I love to read books. So every time I would pick up a book, it would be an opportunity to have a teacher in my living room, in my bedroom.
Didn't you two books? The first one was What Your Mom Didn't Tell You. What inspires you to write that book, and why did you choose that topic?
Thank you for asking me. What your mom didn't tell you is what I did with all my messy, 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 messy love life. I got to a certain point in my adult life that I looked at all the advice that we get in the community, in the magazine, in Cosmo, from the movies. Especially as a little girl, you grow up and you're told you're going to meet Prince Charming and everything is going to just happen. And so I was so heartbroken and I was so disappointed. I said, I need to write a book that tells the truth about relationships
Yes.
and what kind of advice would I have wanted somebody to share with me? I was also very lucky to have my tete, which means auntie in my language, Shona. And when I would speak to her, she would give me really good advice. And I just wanted to share that quality of advice with young women in the world. I chose the title, What Your Mom Didn't Tell You, because I'm African. And I think in our culture, African women really struggle with communicating to their daughters because they're very shy. And so I wanted to talk about those topics that maybe our mothers are not comfortable with.
That's very good. And the second book, Born Without Borders, um, how did it sell?
Born Without Borders is actually coming out this summer. So I'm
Yes.
hoping it does really well. I wanted to introduce myself to the audience with some light reading. That's why I started with the dating book.
Oh, that's really good. I know sometimes it's very hard for a woman, especially when you're battling with a lot of struggles, and most of the times people look at how we look, but they don't look beyond our pictures. And most of the times when you're posting on Facebook, they don't really know what you're going through. You just go on there and post and all that. And how do you deal with the way people used to criticize you sometimes, or the way
Whew.
people come hard on you? And I know you. How did you deal with that? And what would you advise people about social media, especially when they are going through a lot? Do you think is it very helpful to go on social media and say, hey, look at me, this is what I'm going through, I'm broken, I need help. Or it's just okay just to go and post your happy pictures and let people to say whatever they have to say.
Wow, that's a really great question. Thank you so much, Miss Daly. I would
Yeah.
have to say that my background is in high-end fashion and modeling. And so in terms of a curated appearance, that's something I had expertise in. So, in other words, I could have easily come onto Facebook, airbrushed, model, right lighting, and just presented this kind of an image. But once again, I didn't think I could give an authentic message to a woman in the world if I'm just showing this face. Because when I was growing up, I would look in the magazine, the woman always looks so perfect. You feel so disconnected from that image of perfection. You can't even relate to it. And so I wanted to be a different kind of role model. I wanted to teach through my brokenness. When I would come on social media, as you would know, I used to make sure I come exactly the way I'm feeling. So it wasn't about putting the makeup on and looking cute. It was about showing women that you can be a model and look cute and be on the runway and be a businesswoman and be an entrepreneur, but you can also cry. You can also have running mascara. You can look crazy because that's just behind the scenes. And I think it was also important for me to strip that superficial so that I could quickly pull people into my emotional world because that's what I wanted to share. I don't want to share this. I wanted to share this.
Yeah. And many people that don't know you, your story, your struggles. I want you to share a little bit, Dave, about what you went through in your past, so that
Mhm.
person can learn from it.
Hmm. Thank you. I would have to say that for me, as I went through definitely moving from one country to another, there was culture shock. Then also the absence of an extended community. So to find yourself in a foreign country with no friends, everybody you're meeting is a stranger. I'm a single mom. I'm trying to go to school, raise my son, work, pursue my dreams. That's a lot of pressure. And I just feel like at some point, I probably started using alcohol as a crutch to feel good or to take the pain away. And I just want young women to know that it's always a temporary escape when you don't deal with problems because it starts looking at in the beginning, it's like you can hide behind anything. You can hide behind bad relationships, alcohol, anything that doesn't allow you to confront your problems. But eventually, you are going to have a meltdown. You will have a crashing point. And so I think everybody can kind of see that journey. It was also exasperated by the fact that I lost my brother and I loved him very dearly. And when he passed away in South Africa, we didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye or to be able to get there. And I was so devastated that I'd made this sacrifice, moving countries, going so far away from home, and then you lose somebody that you love so much. And so I think it was just the perfect storm, and it just brought me to my knees.
Yeah. Oh, that's very good. I know it's not easy. It's not easy to be. I was like that before, moving from another country to another country to build yourself. It can be very hard, even to make money.
Very.
It can be very hard and very challenging.
And you
But
don't have an opportunity to fail. Every
yes,
month the bills are coming, and you know what I mean. So you're figuring it out as you go, and you've
yes,
never done it before. Especially Africans, we're so sheltered. So to go from a sheltered home environment to you're on your own, it was an abrupt transition.
when it comes, yes, when and being in a new place as well. I want you to advise them, just tell them some encouragement and how can they cope when they are maybe alone in a new country and they're going through depression, they are going through suicide, and they don't even know what to do. What would you advise them?
Okay, I'm going to answer this question in conjunction to answering the second half of your social media question. That's a really important topic that's been often debated in my community. And the question you asked was, is it good for you to go on social media when you're going through your depressions or your problem? For me personally, I would have to say yes. Now, I want people to know that that answer is going to depend on who you are and your context. For some people, if you have your home community and your family and you have access to them, don't do it. Why put yourself on a public platform when you can go to your auntie's house down the street or your sister? But for a lot of women like me in diaspora, you're nowhere near the village. You're nowhere near your relatives. It is very important to understand that you can utilize social and multimedia platforms as a way to utilize and galvanize a support system and a network. And so by me having the courage to say, listen, things are not perfect here, I'm falling apart, and sometimes it's hard, I was able to galvanize such ladies as yourself, and I consider you an angel in my life. I was able to galvanize the support system that I needed. And so for me, it was very, very empowering and important to have that vulnerability on a public platform and to be able to get the help that I needed from my virtual community.
That's very good. And now I can see what you are doing. You're busy educating other people about your experiences, which is very good. And also, tell me, there's a lot of single moms, right? And they're,
Yes.
oh, I don't know. I'm giving up because I don't know what to do anymore. I can't even bother to go and look for a job because I'm tired. I have a baby. So, do you think those people that give excuses as single mom to say, you know what, I don't want to do anything because I'm a single mom, I'm just going to look after my child. What would you tell them to inspire them to maybe do you think they need to do something in life, maybe to how to build themselves? How can you encourage them?
Yeah,
And
being a single mom is a wonderful two-edged sword experience. I've got to be honest. I was a young mom, a teenage mom. Initially, it wasn't like, woo woo, I'm 18 and I've got a baby. But what I want to let single moms know, and also women who suffer from depression right after having kids, you got to let yourself go through it. It's very normal because it is a very life-altering event. It's very major. But I want single moms to know that rather than let your child be the crutch and the excuse for why you can't do things, turn that energy the opposite direction and use your child as inspiration. So when I saw my son, I said, I want my son to have opportunities in life. I want my son to go to good schools. And so I took maybe the love I couldn't even give myself, but I automatically had for my child, and I used it as my motivation. And with children, there's this wonderful point where you realize that, you might actually need them more than they need you. My son is 21 now, and I'm just always trying to like squeeze time. Like, can you hang out with me? So the time goes by so quickly. And next thing you know, you've created somebody who is a wonderful support system, unconditional love. And I always wake up every morning and say, I can't lecture Ivano and say, go to school, follow your dreams, don't give up if he sees me giving up. And so I have to be that person to say, how can you not go to school when I'm going to school? How can you not pursue your dreams? I am pursuing. So it gives you a lot of power as a single mom to inspire your children when you show them by doing it by example.
absolutely. And what are your biggest fears?
My biggest fears, I think there are two parts. Number one has always been fear of failure. That's why I'm a workaholic. I do a lot. Sometimes people who know me will be like, are you going to sleep? I'm like, I can go to sleep after I've completed a project. So failure is not an option. I believe in a process to get into somewhere. And if you fail along the way, it's okay as long as you incorporate that into your learning experience and you move on. Secondly, I think with a lot of women, especially moms, especially single moms, fear of not finding love, fear of being alone. But as you were telling me yesterday when we spoke behind the scenes and you gave me really powerful, inspirational words, I think we live in a generation where women need to love themselves first and where we need to understand that we are enough and that if you have the blessing of having somebody in your life, it should be positive and it should be support system. It should not be somebody to drag you down. So those would be my two fears.
Thank you very much, Vivian. We can see
Thank
your
you.
comments. And Vivian said, yes, being a single mom is not easy, but we have to put the past behind and step up and add more value of yourself. What do you have to say to Vivian comments?
I concur. Being a single mom is a blessing. And, every time, like I said, when I look at my son, you get a different kind of joy when you have your children because you live just beyond for yourself. Like when Ivana accomplishes something, it's my badge of honor. When I sometimes just looking at him, it puts a smile on my face. And so just hang in there because a child is a blessing. And we don't know who our children grow up to become. I had an opportunity to work closely with the Los Angeles Lakers a couple of years ago. And I remember one of the athletes, I won't mention his name, but he was estranged from his father. And I remember saying to a close acquaintance, because the father eventually came back to ask for forgiveness. And I was like, can you imagine that when this man ran away, he didn't know his son is going to become this Lakers. And so you don't want to throw away your children because you never know who they become in life. Just value them and know that tomorrow that same child could be the person who takes you to the next level in life.
Absolutely. And you see, today we face a lot of challenges, and when it comes to women, when maybe the relationship didn't work out, and also maybe career it's not going on well, and we kind of lose hope. We said, you know what, maybe I'm not enough. Why my relationships are not working well? Why my career choices are always bad? What would you have to say about it? With other
I'd have to say to women, allow yourself your mistakes. I think sometimes queens, especially Black women, we're very hard on ourselves.
yourself,
We want to
absolutely.
get it right the first time, and that's just not life. If you're fortunate to know what you want to do in life right away, you're blessed. If you're fortunate to find love right away, you're blessed. But if you're not, then take each experience as a learning tool because the cheerleader who failed yesterday is not the person sitting here. The cheerleader who cried yesterday is not the individual who will have an opportunity for love tomorrow. And so the biggest message for women, especially Black women, is just cut yourself a little bit of slack because we are very, very hard on. I think we are our own biggest critics as Black queens.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. And you know our program is how to keep our dreams alive. How do we keep our dreams alive? How do you keep
I
yours alive?
love that question. That's the crux of this
Sorry about.
interview.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We are talking about how to keep our dreams alive. So how do you keep yours alive? And maybe that can inspire other ladies to keep their dreams alive because so many of us we of dream said, I want to be like this, I want to be like this, yet we don't want to work hard towards it. And
Mhm.
how would you educate other people how to keep their dreams alive?
Always stay connected to your dreams and stay connected to your dream in a practical sense. So for me, I wanted to be a writer. So as the desire to be a writer, I always made sure I'm doing something to do with that dream. So when I worked in San Francisco as an au pair, when I would finish work or on my days off, I would go to the library, I would read books, anything free writing seminar, free writing course. I was always cultivating my craft. I never sat and said, one day I'm going to be a writer. I said, I'm not a writer right now, but whilst I'm working towards that, how do you stay connected? So, for whatever your dream is, whether it's modeling, acting, being a writer, being an entrepreneur, always make sure you're doing something practical, no matter how small, that keeps you working on that thing because your dream is like a little baby. You can't just leave it and then come back 10 years later. You have to nurse it and cultivate and
Yes.
nurture it and then help it to grow. So dreams don't happen overnight. Dreams happen over a long period of time. You have to be patient. You have to be very
I know you
patient.
have. So sometimes you start something and people not responding, and you say, "Oh,
Yes.
I'm tired. I can't do this because my family are not supporting me." My friends are not supporting me. I know it's a lot of us, we go through the challenge of maybe
Yes.
having family not supporting you
Oh,
for
yes.
what you're doing. How do you think it's okay for people to depend on the support from family and friends
Woo,
when it
that's a good
comes
question.
to...
Especially for me, because you saw me on my platform. And I think you saw how I
Yes.
got a lot of antagonism initially from my community. And it's not easy. But I have to say
Mhm.
that the only place your dream can be kept alive is inside of you. You have to think of your dream like a seed. A seed grows in the darkness under the ground. If you plant your dream externally, anything can devastate it. Public opinion, family doesn't believe in you. Sometimes even your own husband will
Mm.
be your worst supporter because people who know you are usually the last to really believe in you. There's a saying that says a prophet is not respected in his own village. You have to go far away to be respected. So for me, I got respect at Rivet Entertainment, working on an award-winning documentary for Discovery. I first got respect working on Rodeo Drive. I first got respect working with celebrity stylists. And so I took the respect from strangers. That's
Yes.
what kept me going until later the family, family, when they see the money, when you start, everybody else will come along. So I think the most important thing when you're pursuing your dreams is to not expect your community and your family to be the first people to support you. They will be the last because they know
Absolutely.
you. So they keep
They know.
remembering old you. They
Yeah.
keep remembering the you crying, the you when your husband left, the you in school. So it's very difficult for those people to understand your new self. So I would actually say surround yourself by strangers until you're strong enough to present yourself to your own community. And then you can't base whether you pursue your dreams or not on other people. Your dreams are
Yes.
for you by you. And then when you have faith and when your faith doesn't go away, then other people will start to say, but what is it about this individual that keeps them holding on to their dreams? Then other people will come aboard.
Absolutely. And there, and there's this thing I want to talk about when it comes to beauty.
Mhm.
And because a lot of people, they'll look at someone and say, "Oh my God, you're beautiful. Oh, you look beautiful." But what is beauty to you? Because many people, we don't understand
Yes.
that word beautiful. Because many people, they say beautiful is the way I look. But what is beauty to you?
Beauty is the way you feel, the way you think.
Mm.
I worked in the fashion industry for so many years, and so I really understand the dichotomy between your outsides and your insides. I would have to say external beauty is for other people, inner beauty is for you. And if you focus on external beauty, it doesn't last. You're going to get older, and not everybody is going to even appreciate what you consider to be your kind of beauty. But when you have internal beauty, and internal beauty takes work because internal beauty takes confronting your demons, standing up from your mistakes. It's messy in here. It's messy. But when you realize that even in that mess, you are beautiful and to not try and find perfection. I was speaking to a lady yesterday, so beautiful. Her energy is impeccable. But because of her external scars, she keeps feeling like like there's something blocking her. And I can so understand that feeling. And the most important thing is to understand that when you've got internal inner beauty, it shines through. And at some point, you're going to get the kind of respect that whether you are 100 years, like my mentor, Dr. Pat, she's 80, 90 years, but when you see her, you see that fiery personality. That's what you fall in love with. You don't look at her and say, oh, this lady, she's got two wrinkles.
Yes.
No, you go, wow, this lady, she has wisdom. So, as people, as women, we want to put the value in things that won't perish. Wisdom, we want hard work, integrity, honesty. That's real beauty.
Which is, oh, that's very good. And a lot of women are broken, especially when it comes to relationships. We're going
Mhm,
to talk about a little bit about that when it comes to failing relationships, because
mhm,
so many women today, we are so, I'm going to include myself. I'm going to
Okay.
use the word we. I don't want to say they, but we are so bitter
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we have been betrayed, or maybe our relation, we gave it all. We said, this
Mm-hmm.
is me. And then the relationship didn't work out. And then we carry all those scars, all those bruises. We're like, when someone is coming over, say, I like you, you'll be like, oh, no, I don't want to
Yeah,
do it.
exactly. You're quick to reject.
Then
Yes.
you're always judging everybody. You're always, even you're closing the doors that maybe that person is
Yes.
the perfect person for you, but
Yes.
the scars, because you've been broken, you have been, you're just damaged. How
Yes. Damage is a good word. You're right.
you help to
Mm-hmm.
feed that sister spirit to say, sister, listen, this is it. How can you inspire that sister who is broken, who has so much scars?
I love that question. I love that question because I think as women, with even sharing my mom's life story and other women that I know who are older than me or younger than me and myself, as women, we have just recently got our rights in community. I think the blue stocking movement was not more than 50, 60 years ago. So we have to understand that we are a new gender in terms of independence. I think one of the biggest difference between male and females is women identify so strongly with their relationships. Our identity is our husband, especially in the African community. You can say you're a doctor, people will be like, are you married? And so we got to start to reshuffle the way that we think. We want our relationships to matter, but we don't want them to be the center of our universe. As women, we need to start to create an identity that doesn't matter if you've got children, no children, husband, no husband. You need to have you first. When you have
Absolutely.
yourself, then that person can have children and that person can have a partner. So I would say to young women out there, rearrange your agenda, baby girl. Have yourself, and then if he comes, he comes. If he doesn't come, and you won't even notice because you'll be so in love with yourself. But the community we live in, especially African traditional community that says, where's your husband? I think that is the danger that a lot of women face. I have women friends who don't even want to be married, but they feel pressure. Can you imagine getting married just because the lady next door, but you are not even built for marriage?
But do you think when a woman said, I don't want to be married, is it because of the experiences, or is it because they're just so afraid to lose their power, or what is it?
I think both. I think
Mm.
experiences that jade you and make you bitter, and some of them can be horrible. I know women who have been physically abused. Verbal abuse is just as detrimental. I was speaking to my friend and producer in Sweden, Yashirai, and he told me something that really startled me. He said in Sweden, verbal abuse is taken very seriously, and I was like, "Whoa, that's a sophisticated community and society because verbal words, like we spoke yesterday, Ms. Daly, can damage your self-esteem. And when you don't have your self-esteem, it opens you up to sexual exploitation, addictions, even finding another abusive person because you think, oh, I can take a beating. That's what I was born to do. And so it's very, very, very important that as women, we just start to rearrange our insides and our mentality. And the most important thing when it comes to love, like you said, it's remain open. Because when you close the door, you don't only close it for men, you just become a
Mm.
better person who closes every opportunity. Leave the door open. Leave
And
the door open. You never know.
do you know something I realize? Sometimes people, we are chasing for what we don't know.
Yes.
I'll say it from my own experience. And I remember I was looking for love, but yet I
Mhm.
didn't know what love. Okay. And I
Mhm.
was trying to find someone to love me, to accept me for who I am. And I would do so much. And then that scares people away because
Yes, it does. It's
thought,
like desperation.
I thought,
Yeah,
I'm like, I love you. I'll do this. I'll do this. That
I know. Trust
this is love. And then the relationship wasn't working. And people don't look
me.
at you. This, you're such a pretty young lady. Why can't you not have a
Yeah,
relationship?
exactly. And it only
I,
makes it worse.
yeah, I didn't know what it was because I didn't love myself. I didn't understand what is love because I thought love is giving, love is being there. Love is where are you? What are you doing? And trying to show yourself that you're available for that person. And that makes things worse. So, what do you think? What is love to you? Because to me, love, it wasn't what I was thinking is love. It
Yes.
was desperation.
Um,
It was fear. It was
yes.
not knowing who I am until I
Mhm.
took a journey. You know what, girl? Take a lonely journey, discover who you are, feed your spirit love, learn how to be positive, and teach yourself to accept who you are. Then you attract people who's
Yes.
gonna love you. You will learn what is love. So, what is love to you?
I love that. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for sharing that. I think you nailed it. Our definition of love is wrong. And it's one that it's so deeply inbred into us. As a little girl, you read fairy tales, it's all about the guy who's gonna save you. It's a mentality. It's deeply ingrained in our stories, in our cultures, in our traditions, and it's about reinventing that story, especially as a mom. Reinvent the story to your little girls. Reinvent the story to yourself. Once upon a time, you need to love yourself first before anything else happens. And I agree with you that for the longest time, I also thought love didn't feel good. It hurts. It abandons you. All those are such negative things that obviously, by definition, intellectually, you know that that can't be love. Love can be all the most horrible things you've ever felt on the planet. And so, to the extent that you can list all this terrible stuff under the adjective love, your mind should say there's something wrong here. This is not the right definition, and start to displace the negativity with positive things. Love should be empowering. Love should give you freedom. It should have no restrictions. It should inspire you. And so I think that's the work we have to do as women, is to redefine the word love.
Yeah. And you see, I see there's so much fear.
Mhm.
We're going to talk about fear because most of us, we are so afraid to let go of the
Mhm.
past.
Yeah.
We are so afraid to say, to open up doors to be loved. We are so afraid to change careers. We are so afraid to be ourselves. So,
Mhm.
how can you advise that person who's sitting there so afraid to break free, so afraid to confront someone, so afraid to say, listen, this is me? How can you inspire and encourage that person?
Fear is the biggest factor. And I think for anybody who's followed me, I would have to say, fortunately for you guys, you don't ever have to be as extreme as I have been. But for me, sometimes fear was like a literal physical stripping. I had to just give that shock value of refusing to be confined, to be defined. And I'm not saying everybody has to like burn their bra and shave their head, but sometimes it's a catalysis, and it was just a rebellion to just say no. I'm going to assert myself as an individual, right or wrong. And as women especially, we have to take the fear factor away from living, because you live your life
Yeah.
afraid, and it's just a life half lived. So you live half your life afraid, and then the other half with regret. So I would have to say,
Yes.
personally, for me as a woman who has traveled from Vulawayo, from my village in Bohera, all the way to living in Laguna, it took courage. That was the
Yes.
number one thing it took. And it took me being able to say, I don't care. When I left Africa, my uncle was like, I'm going to disown you. Nobody in this family has ever done what you're about to do. For me, because nobody had ever done it, I wanted to do it more. And so we have to start breaking those barriers. Be the first woman to go to college. Be the
Yes.
first woman to have your own business. Be the first. Take that opportunity and courage to be the first in your community to do something nobody else has done.
Thank you very much, Emeka. Emeka said, why is it that the people that you love so much are the people that hurt you the most? What would you say to Emeka about that?
That's a really good question. I think, firstly, I want these beautiful queens to understand something. Love is a gift. A gift is like singing, it's like writing, it's like dancing. We forget that love is a gift. I study psychology, and there's such a thing as sociopath, people who are incapable of feeling, who don't have empathy, who don't have a conscience. They become criminals. There's a wonderful book that was written by an author called Why Women Love Narcissistic Men. So it's important for you to understand that even your ability to love is a gift from God. And so just because you can love doesn't mean the other person can love back. That's one thing we have to understand. We have to understand just because you're loving doesn't mean the other person has the capacity and maybe even be forgiving and let go. But she said something that takes us back to our definition of love. Why do the people that we love the most? I'd have to say you have to really redefine the word love. Are these the people you love the most, or the people that you just fear the most, or the people that you're just the most dependent on, to where you feel like you can't do anything without them? Because when you find true love, you'll go back and you'll be like, wait a minute, that wasn't love. You know what I mean? So be brave enough to say whatever you think love is could be wrong. You could be very wrong. And I think once you're brave enough to say, you know what, I'm going to challenge this and say, this is not love. I think there's something better. Then you open the door to finding better. We're so afraid to let go of what we think love is.
And which is true. And how do people let go? You know, so many people, they are trapped in one
Yes.
place.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
you don't want to let go. How would you advise that woman who is clinging to so much pain? You see, most of the times we love things that gives us pain because we are
Yes.
afraid to let go. We are so
Yes.
afraid to start another journey.
Mhm.
How would you encourage that woman who is so afraid to let go of her pains, who is so afraid to let go of toxic relationship, who is so afraid to let go of certain friends? How can you encourage that woman?
Thank you. I'm going to quote my mentor, Dr. Pat Allen. This is an element of cognitive psychology, which is what I'm studying to become a doctor. You cannot let go unless you have something to hold on to. So I'm never going to lie to a woman in an abusive situation and say, oh, you just need to leave, girl, pack your bags. Where you going to go? You don't got a job. You know what I mean? So before you let go, baby, you're going to need a plan. So behind the dream, there's something called a plan. Dream is a very nice word. Oh, I've got these dreams. I've got these dreams. The dream is just the face of your plans. And so before you can let go of a bad situation, you need to plan how you're going to exit. What's your exit plan? Is it a financial bond where you don't have money, so you're subjecting yourself? If it's a financial bond, you need financial emancipation. If it's a spiritual bond, you need spiritual emancipation. So you need to understand where your bondage is. And then once you've identified that thing, you create the escape plan. You can't just jump out without the parachute. You will hit the ground. We can't advise you to just leave with the children and be on the streets. It's not practical. Every time that I counsel women behind the scenes, I always find out that they want help to make a practical plan that works, a real life. And in cognitive psychology, to quote Dr. Pat Allen, she says, to get out of a bad feeling, you need to take a positive action. So a positive action replaces a bad feeling, because action is more powerful than the feeling. Feelings can change. Action, you can always take action, but you can't think yourself out of a bad situation. You can't dream yourself out of a bad situation. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, you know, we actually chatted a lot, but
Oh,
before we go, we want to talk about women when it comes women to empower one another, because I find that we are living in the generation that people hardly empower one another. Especially when it comes to women, they like to break each other. They see a
oh,
sister doing
girl.
something, instead of encouraging that sister, they kind of start destroying that sister. Or else maybe when you confide in a sister, and instead of them understanding, okay, she has approached me, it means to trust me, and then the screenshot the messages or the send all.
Oh, girl. Yes.
This is the biggest challenge that we have. That's why we see a lot of people committing suicide. We see a lot of people just dying in silence. They're going through depression. They say, you know what, I'd rather be on my own because I can't share. If I share, they'll use it against me. How can you educate some of us that we are struggling with challenges of being able to trust people? Also, how can you encourage them the importance of empowering another woman.
Wow, what a beautiful place to end. Yeah, that's a really great place to end this discussion. I'm actually blessed enough that I met you incidentally. You are my angel, you're inspiring. And like I told you, you always had this consistently warm, positive energy in the comment section. And girl, you know how the comment section can get crazy. And that made you stand out. And that made me want to emulate you in many, many ways. And so, to be honest, what I'm going to have to tell women is this: we have a lot of work to do. We have so much work to do. How do you become trusting? By building trust. Building is an active word. It's going to involve work. And so for me, for us, you and I, we're fortunate enough to belong to a wonderful platform exclusive group to empower women by invitation only. It's called Lifted Queens. And I believe that's what women are going to have to do. They're going to have to start to galvanize themselves at grassroots level into small communities of trust, where we're going to have to learn how to reinvent the wheel, how to love each other, how to trust each other. We're going to have to do the work, because you can't go out and conquer the world when you're broken. But when we lift each other as queens in our home communities at grassroots level, then we're building the foundation that's strong enough for us to stand upon tomorrow. So right now, just let's admit it. We're broken. We're scarred. We're hurt. We're disappointed. A lot of us have either given up on our dreams or even forgotten what it feels to dream. So we're going to have to do the work. And I just want to thank you so much, because it's women like you who are the architects of that change. Here you are on this wonderful platform, giving so many women an opportunity to be empowered. And I just want to thank you so much for inviting me.
So much. I'm so honored to have you here, and I know a lot of people, they'll learn something from you, and I'm so inspired with your story, because people, they'll look at us and they'll be like, oh my gosh, she's pretty, but they don't know there's a lot of work that we have to do to stay pretty. As you said, pretty just the way you look, but it's how you feel. You can be so beautiful, but you're broken inside. When you smile, your smile shows tears. They cannot really reflect the beauty from inside. And your story really inspired a lot of people and inspired me as well. For you being my first, I am so honored. It's always,
Thank
it's always
you.
so great. And we have actually chatted for an hour, which is, woo, it feels like
Unbelievable. Time
I,
flies. I promise it feels like 5 minutes with you.
want you to say something great. I want you to say something before you go to the viewers, how they can be able to contact you, and what inspiration words would you leave them with?
Oh, thank you so much. I really want to just thank you guys so much for joining us, for listening. I think it takes trust. It takes humility to listen to another woman. But when you realize that our stories are the vehicles through which we connect, and if we're vulnerable and honest enough to, like we have done, Ms. Daly, behind the scenes, to connect and be honest, you'll be so surprised that we have so many similarities more than differences. And perhaps we'll stop tearing each other down, because what we're tearing down in our communities, it's not our insides. We're tearing down this. You see this perfection. Oh, she's a slay queen. Oh, she thinks she's pretty. And then we attack this outside, but you don't know behind the makeup, behind the smile, there's so much pain. And I know women are nurturing. And if we start to see our spirits and our emotions and our souls, I know we have the God-given kindness and the ability to love each other and be supportive. And all I can say to women out there is, when God gave you your dreams, he gave you life. And so I say life is like a jigsaw puzzle. You don't get your dream all together looking like the perfect picture. You will always get your dream shattered into 1,000 pieces. But rather than not feel empowered, you need to understand that every queen and every king gets a box of broken puzzle pieces. So your job is to put those pieces together through hard work, integrity, prayer, the support system of mentors, spiritual mentors, your sister queens. And one day, if you work diligently, I promise you, as a girl born and raised in Zimbabwe, and everything that I've been through, I promise you that one day you look at the broken pieces and you don't see that, you start to see the picture of your dreams coming together.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to have you here,
Thank you.
and God bless you for blessing us with your story. And thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. I am so honored to be your host today. My name is Harifa Daly here on Let's Get to Know You. Please feel free to send us an email if you want to come on the show. Remember, the story that is shared, it's the beginning of wisdom. We need to inspire other people with our stories. We need to educate one another. We need to build one another. We need to break free. We need to let go of the pain. We need just to empower each other. Thank you very much. My name is Harifa Daly. I love you all. God bless you.